alternate.
Can we do, I don't know that we can do an alternate, can we?
Yes, you can,
You can add that.
you're asked to do a
Make
delegate
sure.
and an alternate in case that delegate, he can't do it.
Oh,
Did we vote in Dana Point?
I don't know if you. did
I
or
don't
not,
remember. doing
I
the voting.
nominated you.
But that was an ACCT conference, so just so you know.
Yeah.
I presented.
You
it.
should,
And
you should look at Sharon.
Sharon as alternate. All in
Other way
favor?
around, flip
other
it,
way.
reverse it.
All right.
I want the other way around.
Sharon
Interesting.
as the delegate and I'll be the alternate.
Interesting.
Yes.
Let them work it out.
Yeah, flip a coin. Any coin.
Okay, you guys got a Rochambeau for it.
Say it again.
Not sure.
Hey,
This is after the
By
board.
the way, this is at the time of the board meeting.
best 2 out of 3.
So-
Rochambeau for it.
You would have to miss, well, you would have to miss the board meeting in October
Oh, no.
to go to this conference,
Oh, wow.
which is why I'm not going, because I would have gone. 'Cause it's so close.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So now
So
nobody's
if you're
going.
not wanting to miss, if you don't want to miss the board
I'm
meeting,
not
then
missing our board meeting
we can
for this
just,
nonsense now.
vote this down.
Oh.
Just, hey, whatever.
Okay, never mind, just
All right.
kidding.
She's
No.
not going.
You're not going,
No, I'm not gonna miss the board meeting here.
Sharon?
Heck no.
Are you gonna go?
Can we make a motion to go on the next thing?
So she's saying she may go, so go ahead and put her as the delegate. If she goes, then
If you go.
she'll
you're
miss the board meeting and she'll be there.
All right, motion.
Second.
Sorry. I didn't realize it was on a Tuesday. They usually do Thursday, Friday.
What?
A Tuesday, if we're missing a board meeting, it's on a Tuesday.
You know, the day of the meeting that you would actually vote is the Tuesday, the 10th. From 2 to 3:30.
All right, with no alternate, correct?
Correct.
Right.
No, we're good.
And I'm gonna put that trustee Peters can ask her to delegate if she is able to.
Perfect.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Sharon,
Student advisory?
yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, so,
You got
right, you would need to let. So Michelle's going on vacation for a week and a half. So let Gabby know right away, because she has to let them know. And all that, so it has to be made brief.
No, we don't need to let Dr. Tarango know so that John has use of the jet.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah. You got
Get
it.
your pilot.
Won't get very far, John.
Okay. Second read approval, board policy 7120.
Motion?
Second.
Do I have a motion? Second.
Sharply wood.
Any
Wait.
discussion?
Can we do these all at once or no?
No, because something is getting pulled.
2 of them.
Two somethings.
Can we
Okay.
separate the 2 and make a?
Don't make it
motion?
too complicated. Just carry on.
All right.
No,
It'll take just as long to do it because they're
Alright.
pulling two, so it's just easier to do it.
Oh, no.
So we can do all of them except those 2.
Yeah, except for 2.
Do you know the two?
Motion.
Second.
Why don't we let Michelle be the deciding vote? 'Cause she's the one that actually has to do that.
You got it under control.
So, okay, so this is not one of them.
No.
I believe. Right? I think
No.
it's
72,
So
10,
correct.
7250.
Okay, so.
So the question is, do you want to have a motion in a second on all except 7210 and 7250?
absolutely.
Sure, and you
And
can.
then a
do
vote,
that
and then
with
she can
56.
fix that,
Can
and
you
then you
do
can
all that
debate those
right
2.
now? Or is that gonna take a long time? It'll
Yes,
take her a
motion.
minute.
So he's making a
Right, there's a
motion.
lot,
And,
though. It's quicker. Motion.
No,
Second,
we already motioned. and
Okay,
seconded.
there we go. We
Yeah.
did.
Okay. On all of the
And somebody else motioned as well.
There's a bunch. of
Okay.
motions. And now we can take a break because she's gonna need a minute.
Yeah, student advisory vote.
Yes.
All right, I'll do it.
All right. Break time.
What?
That's what that means when you.
Break time.
Well, yeah, because she needs just a minute to compile them all.
She has to fix all that.
It's still quicker than doing them one by one when there's like what,
Yeah.
14 of them?
14 of them.
Yeah.
16 of them. There's 16 if we did them individually.
She's a great singer. She really is.
Right in the middle of the vote.
We have cookies.
Hold order.
We have cookies. So there's that.
Okay, we had a motion by who?
Tarpley,
Harpley.
second by
Jennifer.
Wood,
That was just.
all but those,
That was
right?
all
So
of
we
them
just need to
except-
vote for them,
Except for 7210 and 7250.
or did we?
Everything's covered.
Do 7210
The
now.
two.
We have to discuss that. vote on
So we
that.
need a motion
7210.
on
7210.
11.8. Is that what you want? Is a motion?
A motion for
All
7210?
motion,
For 7250 and 7210.
just for 11.8 right now, one at a time.
One at a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Second.
So before you get started on the discussion on this, I should tell you
Did you get that?
that we presented these to you as revised because there are new laws in California that require this language in the college has to abide by these policies. So this was brought to a board policy because it's a legally required one. The only reason for, and what the basically are doing here is when you hire and when you evaluate employees in a community college now, you have to do that based on they're proving that they've qualified in the area of knowledge of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that they are making progress in that area and living that lifestyle in their work environment. So that's what these resolutions are about, and that's why you have them, because the legislature passed a law that this is the law in California.
Okay. I understand that. Okay, now. So discussion on 7210. I found it interesting that the state of Texas and the state of Florida, and I believe Iowa too, have all eliminated this language from their colleges. They all eliminated it, and all three of those states. And I looked it up online. And I looked up a article called Why Christianity and Corporate Marxism Cannot Mix by William Wolf. And he says that this is a Marxist ideology, straight out of Das Kapital. And so
What is DEI?
DEI. Not
Diversity, equity, and
yeah, and
inclusion?
inclusion, right. And then I looked up another one called Marxism and DEI by, let's see, I didn't get his name, but there's another article. And I looked up two of these articles and both of them came back with Marxism. So I'm not, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution and the Constitution of the United States. And nowhere in the United States Congress Constitution does it say anything about Marxism. Nowhere in any of them. So I'm not gonna, California can do what they want. They just passed another law, believe this or not, but if you're getting a divorce and you're the parent that wants your child degendered, change gender, then you have a higher probability of getting custody of that kid or your child. They just passed that yesterday. When that, you said yesterday or today?
Yesterday or last week.
Yeah.
Hold on, I can look. I have the update.
So now if you're getting a divorce, the parent that wants their kid change, their sex change from a boy to a girl, you have a higher probability of getting custody.
Do you think it's the parent that wants that, or?
No, if the parent wants that, say you got two parents and one wants it, one don't. Well, the parent that wants it gets a higher probability of getting custody.
I mean, I don't think that has really a lot of relevance to.
No, it doesn't. But
this.
this is the kind of stuff that they're passing. But I don't know, this, I'm not gonna vote for it. I'm sorry. Because of, it says here that the evaluation of academic employees include tenure review must include consideration of employees demonstrated or progress toward efficiency and diversity, equity and inclusion and accessibility competencies that enable work with diverse communities. Now, I don't mind working with diverse communities. That's not the point. The point is that this other stuff is in there, that you have to do it. And if you don't do it, it's part of your evaluation now. So I'm not
Per
gonna
the
vote,
law,
state law.
per the state law.
Per the
So we
state law.
have to adhere to it
Yeah,
because we're state funded.
right. Well, I'm still not gonna vote for it. So I just want to say, put in my 2 cents and say no.
AB 957.
Huh?
AB 957.
9:57.
Passed last Wednesday, maybe
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday.
And the same thing for 7250. Same thing, same terminologies. So I'm not gonna vote for either one of them. So I'm turning them down by me. Everybody else, I don't know what the rest of the board wants to do, but
Is that a child being a minor?
they're forcing.
I mean, I don't think that has any relevance to what
Yeah,
we're
it doesn't.
discussing right now. I'm certainly ready to
Think
go.
around to the free anymore.
Actually accurate.
So anyway, no on both of those.
You go ahead and vote on
Okay,
Are we doing
Anybody else?
both or just one at a time?
one at a time.
Yeah.
This will be the first one, 7210.
okay, all right. Student advisory vote.
Yes.
And now. Keep the motion on there.
I did it.
Motion.
I got it.
Second. Circle the world.
Well, I was waiting for this.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you.
I couldn't see the vote.
Me neither.
What was it, 4-1?
Yes.
Both of them?
Oh, no. That was student advisory vote.
Okay. Now, if you want to vote on the rest of them,
Oh, they did that.
Very good.
we already did. All
They lumped. them.
right, got it.
So now we're on to 12-1.
Okay. 12-1, foundation donations.
Motion.
Second,
This is to receive $770,823 from the foundation.
student advisory.
Yes.
Good assist, trustee.
It's not up. There it is. It takes a minute.
It does. It's been going slow.
Agreement, renewal. Computer land. Is that it? No, amendment to SAAS agreement, illusion.
Motion.
Second,
Student trustee,
Yes.
use.
okay. Agreement renewal,
Wait, we need a vote. Somebody needs to vote.
we did, we voted, didn't we?
No, somebody hasn't yet.
You haven't?
Somebody
voted.
hasn't.
Voting right now.
I voted.
She wasn't pointing to Joseph W.
I wasn't pointing at anyone. I just said somebody has voted.
13.2, agreement renewal, Computerland, Silicon Valley, Microsoft Campus Agreement 23-24.
Motion.
Second,
Any discussion? Student trustee?
I will point out that this is the Microsoft Suite annual renewal, and this used to be twice this much money. But because the California Futures Foundation has stepped in and made an agreement, we're only having to pay like half. 65,000 for all the students, all the employees, everybody.
That's a pretty good deal. (13.3) Citizens Bond Oversight Committee members extended terms.
Motion.
Any discussion? Student trustee?
Yes.
(13.5) No, let's see here. 13.4, public hearings, resolution 2318, energy services agreement. Amendment 1 pursuant to government code 4217.
Okay, first, before you open the resolution, we need to open a public hearing if anybody wants to
That's
comment
not
from
a
the
public hearing. Does anybody want to come up and talk about it? Public hearings are now open.
Nobody.
Nobody? Closed.
I can do the resolution.
All right. Public hearing resolution 2318, energy services agreement, amendment 1 pursuant to government code 4217. Motion?
Motion.
Oh, it's a resolution. It's a
Okay,
resolution.
so
It was on it was a
um,
resolution.
Brady.
So prior to the board's discussion, I would like to make the public aware that trustee Brady sent an email to his colleagues this morning on this item. The email is available for the public. Should anyone wish to have to review or obtain a copy, you can get it from Gabby Calendar over here. Now the board can pursue with its discussion. Proceed. Yeah, pursue.
Pursue.
Proceed.
Does anybody want to go first?
You're going to speak.
Yeah, this is a sensitive subject that really goes back.
Oh, excuse me, trustee Brady. Tim, can you get Nate on the phone, and he's just here for all of you trustees if you need him.
Yeah.
He has nothing to say unless you have a question for him. So he's gonna zoom him in, so go ahead. Sorry.
So Kevin Flanagan, so he's with Spur.
That did all the bidding. That's what you mean by procure.
Okay.
Back in December, I believe it was December, John, you could correct me. 2020, we started a discussion about what I call the repair of the solar field down there. Is that correct? We hired a vendor for about $800 and some odd thousand to do some repair. And the December meeting, the January and the February meeting were rather challenging discussions amongst the trustees. I asked a lot of questions about, the fact that an education, a group like VVC, we're an educational facility, really didn't know how we were monitoring our utility usage. I was a little taken back. I'm a private sector person. I'm proud to be private sector, so I deal with my own money, so I look at things somewhat more differently. Those conversations were rather challenging, and thanks to this recent discussion, after our August meeting, I asked Dr. Walden to get some additional information, and while he was gone on vacation, Dr. Todd Scott and John tried to put things together. I did ask for a tour this last Friday night at 5:30, only because I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks. Because personally, I would like to see the solar fields. I felt that after last month's meeting, it's hard for me as a trustee to approve something I can't see. And it's hard for me to approve a contract that's in 2 parts. So the contract that we're being asked to approve tonight is the second part of a contract. And while we approved the first part of the contract, what, a year ago?
Probably isn't.
I'm one of those old fashioned, I deal with contracts all day long in my
That
business.
was a project to cover parking.
And at that time, we all approved it. We thought it was a great idea. And while this still may be a great idea, I wanted to ask some questions, which I think challenged the issue. So for a little bit of background, we initially spent $4.5 million on the initial solar project at the college, and then funded another $3 million, another 1.5. And at the end of the day, getting down to John's second paragraph of this memo without reading the whole thing, total VVC funds spent on solar and other energy projects were 10,000. An article in some journal of 2010 reported that we would save approximately 20 million in savings over the next 25 years, including the nearly 4 million in incentive money that we got.
That was bond oversight
Yeah.
committee annual report.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Produced by the facilities director at the time.
And John notes, and John, I do appreciate your candor. Quoting you, as we discussed earlier, I don't, and this was after our very contentious December, January, February meetings. As we discussed earlier, I don't believe that a credible cost benefit analysis could be accomplished without the hiring of an energy consultant or assigning a fiscal services staff person full-time for a couple of months or more to research all design documents for all the capital outlay projects and energy projects to identify the timelines, costs, and energy estimates. In summary, not knowing that the district has many more solar and energy projects over the last 11 years, be very time-consuming and costly effort to do a credible comprehensive benefit. So at the time, it was suggested that I felt, as a trustee, that we needed somebody to come in and do an independent audit of what do we have. You know, I love projects where, in this particular case, the solar company is giving us the solar, but they're changing the contract. We're upping the price per kilowatt hour, which is still very, very competitive. And if you go through the contract, which that's all we do all day long is look at contracts. There are places on here that really did concern me that I couldn't, as a business person that deals in money or in contracts or in development, understand. I couldn't understand the solar size on page 1, and that is an estimate. That's not a guarantee. And last night, let me back up. On Friday night, because of my traveling and Dr. Walden's traveling, we didn't do our agenda review until Friday night. And I told Dr. Walden I was very concerned about this. And the college smartly had hired somebody that we had recommended a long time ago as an energy consultant out of Southern California. So I asked Dr. Walden, I said, you know, I want to be sure that I'm giving forefront, you know, the right nod on this. Do you have an issue as a trustee if I contacted Marika? And Dr. Walden said no. So Marika had the copy of the same documents that I do. And as we went through them last night, I asked her some questions and she said, you're asking the right questions. So down the bottom of the first page, this is an amendment to a contract. So I don't feel good signing an amendment to a contract where I don't have the original contract together. So I would like to sign or approve it when you see both. The way that they did this, and we have 4 law firms that work for us. I've never, in the years that I write the checks in our company, have ever had a law firm have say, you have an agreement over here, but this agreement you signed has deleted that paragraph in the first agreement. And if you don't have the first agreement, how can you know what you're signing? So I was very concerned last month when some of my fellow trustees wanted to approve a contract, but we don't have the contract in front of us, knowing what to do.
Joe, I know you're going, but we have the contract. It's right there,
Okay.
dated October,
It's all there.
We had it in our
October,
emails.
October sixth,
You
twenty
have the
twenty-two.
email,
We
you're
have,
CC'd on the email.
we all have access all the time.
Brandon, you are so much far in front of technology than I am. And unfortunately, I didn't have it. And if I did have it, I wouldn't say that I didn't have it. So, okay. So that,
You had access to it electronically though.
well,
I thought we sent copies of the whole thing last month to everybody.
not
You
that
know,
contract. We sent we sent the agreements and the memo that I read.
but not the
And
original.
last month, we didn't even have a board item to approve the contract. All we had was a presentation.
But we sent something ahead of time, I guess. It may not have been.
Well,
I don't
okay,
know, but I have it.
I have it.
so getting to the solar size is an estimate, which, and now I understand what Mariko's explained to me last night. Because she said, this is what you're generating and this is what you need. So this field will supposedly generate about 76% of what we need. Apparently sometime last month, she came up here, she's doing work for VVC. And she sent one of her guys up to check the solar field. I guess they dress up because of high voltage or whatever. And she said, when they got up here, the solar field's generating, but the monitoring system was disconnected. So the college really didn't know what it's generating, although it's generating power. So that is a concern. On the second page where we have the early termination fees on column 1 and column 2, candidly, I still can't figure that out.
Okay.
I'm in the development. Top of page 3.
Sure, Nate could
There's
address.
no, John, there's no heading up here. It doesn't tell you. It comes from the bottom of the page. They should have just put the two together. Throughout the contract, it talks about starting in 1.16, provider and purchase. Nowhere in the preamble does it say anything about the word provider. It talks about purchase. So I didn't have the first contract go back, take a look and say, who's the provider, but I could see who the purchaser was. So those are some of the concerns I have. I did write an email this morning. I take full responsibility for that email. I couldn't read the aerial here. I tried to blow it up last night. But I do want the board to know that I did offer, because I was traveling, to go down and take a look at the field on Friday night at 5:30. Because I would like to see what the field does. I'd like to understand it. And unfortunately, we just weren't able to schedule it. I made the offer. I never heard back. So those are my personal concerns. And I'm all about saving money.
The article that was in the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, the grand opening of that grand field was May 25th, 2010.
You can read that on there? I
Yeah.
can't read mine.
So my understanding is about 2 or 3 years later, the company that put this system in went bankrupt. San Bernardino Valley College has got the same system. They already tore theirs out. So the report says it's gonna save $20 million in 25 years. If that thing lasted 25 years, we'd be here in 2035 talking about it. It didn't happen. We've spent an average of $60,000 to $80,000 a year taking parts off of broken ones to fix the ones that are operations. So right now, if you go down to that field, half of them are looking to the east, the other half are looking to the west. I mean, they're just,
I went on Thursday.
and this system is designed, each panel has to follow the sun all day long to generate power. Otherwise, if they're just pointing somewhere, there's a couple minutes of the day that they're going to generate power. So in fact, San Bernardino County or college called us and said, hey, we're tearing down our system. You guys can come take it out and you can have all the parts you want. Well,
Oh,
we're spending $80,000 a year to Giant Power because they're the only ones with the expertise and the tools to keep these 100 with 122 panels, all tracking the sun all day long. It's really become, it's not cost effective to have that field there. It's supposed to be here till 2035. The business went bankrupt 10 years ago. And we're stuck with a bunch of huge 18-foot panels that can't operate. So the program that we brought to you was procured through Spur. Spur is a JPA with 300 or 400 unified school districts in California community colleges. They put out a proposal to at least 30 different firms, and they got 7 responses. They went through the whole procurement process, analyzed everything. They're the experts. They do utilities. That's what, Kevin, you can jump in here. Spur is an acronym for utilities, schools purchasing utilities. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, hi, good evening.
What is the acronym? Actually, it's
Yes,
okay.
yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Flanagan. I work for Spur. So Spur stands for School Project for Utility Rate Reduction. So as John said, we're a JPA. We aggregate the buying power of our very large membership, hundreds of K-12 and community college districts across the state. The REAP program, the program that you guys are looking to potentially leverage for this contract, has been used by nearly 70 different public agencies across the state, not just community college districts and school districts, but cities and counties and the state of California. It's a very tried and true procurement method, and we definitely stand behind our process and the contract that we negotiated on behalf of public agencies.
So anyway, it was procured. Forefront Power won the bid to provide these purchase power agreements to anyone interested through Spur. So our recommendation is that we abandon this old system that has cost us nothing but money to try to keep it together. I mean, the 800,000 that we spent, we took out 1/4 of the field only so we could have the parts to keep the rest of the field generating power. So we spent 800,000. We got a little more output on the fixed panel system that went in. Plus we got 3 or 4 Connex boxes full of parts. So we could try to keep the other 100 panels looking all in the same direction. And it hasn't really worked out. So our recommendation is that comes out, more fixed panels go in, and we have a guaranteed rate for 20 years. Now, me as a homeowner, I'd like to have a guaranteed rate of 16.25, because I just don't think in the inflationary times we're in that utilities aren't going to go down. They're only going one way. And, you know, I wish this was available to homeowners in this type of capacity, but that's why we're here. M&O doesn't have the expertise to work on those panels, so we have to contract it out. And they have to sift through all of our old parts to keep, because they don't make them anymore. The company went bankrupt 10 years ago, or whatever year that was. It was before I got here. So that's our recommendation.
So John, to be clear, this doesn't cost the college or the district anything, right? And they do
No.
all the building, the maintenance,
They own the system.
they own it.
Yeah.
And we just
They
pay,
maintain it
we pay the locked in rate.
for 20 years.
That starts in.
We have options to purchase it, and that's part of that contract. This contract I spent a few $1,000s on our construction attorney to go through, and Kevin and Nate can tell you, we were nitpicking the contract. Sherman Wong, our construction attorney, had just negotiated the same contract with Cerritos College. And so he was looking after the college's interests. And so he approved that contract. And that's when we signed the first one for Lot Q. And then Nate knows how frustrated we've been with that field. And they said, hey, let's let's take care of that problem.
Maybe you could answer this. So when would the first phase go in? The way I read this, we're looking at 2026. And we're
No.
in 2023.
Well, at the
All
last
right.
meeting, we talked about the fact that we could get to this one. We're gonna have to time that parking lot one, because we can't shut down a parking lot in the spring or
Yeah, I
fall
got
semester. So we're gonna have to do that one in the summer.
Well, what year are we talking about? This said, I think 2026.
That one might be 25. I don't know, Nate.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight. What we'd target trustee Brady, I think, first would be the decommissioning of the existing CPV project. We can do that as soon as possible. And then we would, based on the wants and needs of parking lot Q, we'd want to just tailor that construction process to whatever the college needs. I think the 2026 date that you're referring to, we have to construct and energize the project by the spring of 2026 to make sure that we're retaining our NEM 2.0 grandfather. So that's essentially the backstop of the projects. We'd want to front load the entire construction or deconstruction and construction processes with both the ground mount and parking lot queue, with the decommissioning and removal of the existing CPV project, and then the construction of the ground mount out there, because that's not disruptive to day-to-day at the college, and then figure out exactly what works best with parking lot queue. And I know that there is also flea market there. So just making sure that we have that schedule nailed down. So I'd imagine that probably the ground mount would go in, sometime summer 24, and then we'd try to figure out how to phase in parking lot queue thereafter.
Nate, can you explain the investment tax credit? And I found out last night, is this part between the time we did phase one and this?
Mhm.
Was this part of the Biden?
Yeah, yeah,
So that, but explain to the trustees how an ITC works.
yeah, absolutely.
I understand you're bearing the risk. So you guys, ITC. In
Of
talking
course.
to Marika last night, there are companies out there where the college keeps the ITC and the company doesn't, correct?
Yeah, so that's a really important distinction, Joe, and that was part of exactly Biden's passage of the Inflation Reduction Act last August. So last August, they said, the Fed came out with this new legislation that says, okay, we're going to call it, instead of investment tax credit, which is what Forefront Power as a tax-paying entity is taking advantage of, which is a baseline 30% coupon on all solar project-related costs. That comes in the form of, essentially, if you have a tax burden of $100, you get a 30% credit against that tax burden. What the Biden administration figured out was, or what they proposed and what they passed, was this concept called direct pay. And direct pay is different from a tax credit, right? Because it's literally the Fed giving specific public agencies, the college would be eligible to capture the direct pay. Specific public agencies, literally a check in the mail after the project's been completed for those solar project related costs. The nuance with the direct pay is that it really depends on, because it's so new, one, no one's really done it yet at scale, and two, depending on how you finance the project, you're going to get a different tax credit. So the 30% coupon that Forefront Power gets in the form of a tax credit is actually scaled all the way down to 6% as a floor in the instance of a direct pay, and then it scales up to 15% if the college were to use non-tax exempt bonds. I'm sorry, tax exempt bonds. If the college were to use non-tax exempt bonds, then you would be able to potentially capture that 30% direct pay. But you'd still need to put up all of the money. The college would need to put up all of the money. From an accounting perspective, you need to put up all the money, build the system, energize it, and then the Fed would then analyze how you finance the project and then dole out the relative coupon for the project costs based on the financing structure of the project. So it is a little bit of a moving target. But yes, that is new. Trustee Brady, that concept is called direct pay. It exists. And we're still kind of figuring it out. I think just to cap this kind of long-winded narrative off, is that if you buy the system out, the same problem and headache, I wouldn't expect that what happened in 2010 to ever happen again, because that was really new technology. They did it down at San Bernardino College too. It didn't work out, right? The company went bankrupt. But the fact that the college bought the system outright exposed them to the headache and liability of what happened to the system afterwards, right? And you couldn't have done anything to prevent that because you didn't know the company was going to go bankrupt. But the difference with the PPA is that Forefront Power, we own that system. So, for example, and this is negotiated by Kevin and his team at Spur. Remember that 95% performance guarantee? Like that 95% performance guarantee doesn't exist in a cash sale, wouldn't exist via direct pay. So that's really protecting the college from repeating the same sort of cash sale, headache and problems that they've had, that you all have had with the first iteration of this.
Nate, I hate to ask all these questions, but
Don't worry about it.
I'm not a rubber stamper, and the public, the nice thing is that we've got this video. The public needs to know why we're doing this. If somebody ever comes and said, well, I understood you got an investment tax credit, and we said, well, what was that? I had no idea until last night that this came in the last year from the Biden after we did phase one. The second thing, I want to approve your contract, but I can't approve two pieces of paper that are not together. Why don't we put both of them together? Be sure our banner on our, the paragraphs flow between those two pages. And maybe put a little reference on what those, the charts, you have two charts on one page. My fellow trustees are a lot smarter than I am. I couldn't figure that thing out. They did last month. I couldn't do it. And I still can't do it. And I don't know if somebody picking up that contract 4 years from now, if none of us are here, could figure that out. So maybe a little footnote on what that means and clean it up and then bring it back. I'd like to be able to approve it if the board wants to. If the board wants to approve this tonight in this particular, in the way that it is, I just can't vote for it because it's not one document. Makes sense? None person.
I think the board could delegate that to the president, kind of get this over with.
John, does it make sense? You've got these two documents.
Well,
We're
no,
approving
that's-
something here and we approve something here. But
it doesn't make sense. You got a CEO that you've hired. You could make sure that he gets what you need. We could move forward.
oh, absolutely, but
You don't have to delay it till the next project, next board meeting. We don't have
We
to,
wouldn't have that discussion. Yeah, so.
yeah, we don't have to go to the next board meeting.
No,
Is there any other discussion from any other board member? Is there a student advisory vote?
Well, there is.
Okay, then go for it.
All right, I have a couple of questions. Nate, can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. So let's just go worst case scenario. Let's say that you install the system and like the last solar company, not to jinx you or anything, you guys are gone, bankrupt, out of business, 6 months after the system goes live. Now what?
Yeah, that's a great, Kevin's much better at answering this
Oh,
question than I am because he's biased, but go ahead, Kevin. I'm
Yeah,
biased.
hey, this is Kevin from Spur. It's a good question. Recall that the asset belongs to Forefront Power. If they were to disappear and go bankrupt, the asset will still continue to generate electricity. And as long as it continues to generate electricity, it will benefit the district actually, because that electricity is flowing through your meter and It's interacting with Edison through their net metering program. But recall too that the Forefront Power has investors, and those investors, as in any bankruptcy process, would have a right and an interest in taking over that asset. Recall that they're investing funds into the construction of this asset, and the only way that they generate a return on that investment is to make sure that the system continues to produce. So imagine a scenario where Forefront disappears, they're out of the picture. Those investors are going to have step-in rights, and they do have step-in rights in the contract, and you want them to have step-in rights to take over the operations and maintenance of that project, because they want to see that system to continue to generate electricity, and you want to see that system continue to generate electricity. That's the great thing about the way that this contract is structured, is that once that project is finished and it's energized and it's sitting out there, it's really just a revenue generating machine for whoever owns it and operates it. So, if Forefront's not in the picture, some other buyer is going to be very interested in operating and maintaining that system to make sure that it generates electricity for the college. And so, you would be protected, I guess, is the short of it in that scenario.
Well, that's a
And-
for sure thing.
Sharon asked, I don't know if you could hear her, so that's a for sure thing, was her question.
Yeah, so in the history of the solar industry, we've seen other companies go bankrupt. And if the investors themselves behind Forefront, who have a contractual interest in this project, don't step in and take over the project would then be purchased by someone else. And again, it would be in their interest after they purchased it to make sure that the system continues to operate and generate electricity. I will tell you too, and nothing's guaranteed in life, of course, as we know, but one of the reasons why when we ran our competitive process, we selected Forefront Power is they had the best pricing, but they were also backed by a very large, massive conglomerate called Mitsui and Company. So Mitsui and Company, it's not necessarily like a household name, but they're a very large Japanese company that owns and operates companies all over the world. They have a giant balance sheet. They are A-rated, billions in assets. They are the sole owner of Forefront Power. And so the likelihood that Forefront Power goes bankrupt and doesn't have access to cash and operating capital is very unlikely as long as Mitsui is their owner. And as of today, Mitsui is the sole owner of Forefront Power, and Forefront Power is a leader in the solar energy space here in California and across the United States. So it's a good question, and it's an unlikely scenario. But even in that unlikely scenario, the college is still protected in that scenario.
Kevin, isn't Mitsui one of the top 7 companies in Japan?
I'm not an expert on Japanese companies, but it wouldn't surprise me if they are in the top 7. Yeah, they're very, very large Japanese company.
They're similar, I think, to Mitsubishi. So I think that the trustee
Correct.
question about the bankruptcy, again, what you explained is not in this amendment, but your explanation makes total sense. Makes sense? It's not in this amendment. I like to see it all put together and have Dr. Walden take care of it and, give us a copy in November just for, reading purposes. But I think when the two, it makes sense what you said, somebody's going to step in or they have the rights to step in.
And let's just say that wasn't the answer. That was a good answer, but it's not the answer that I expected. So all the investors are flying home from the investors meeting. The plane goes down. Forefront's out of business. The investors are at the bottom of the ocean. They chose to fly Malaysian Airlines. And there's nobody. We get the solar system. It's there. It's on our property. So we basically just get the solar system and we get to keep using it. Right? That's the answer I expected you to give on the first typo. But is that right?
The burden of maintaining that system? No, we do not.
Well, no,
It didn't work out for us the first time.
I'm not saying we would want the burden, but essentially worst case scenario, we get the system for free, right? Worst case scenario for Forefront investors and everyone else, we end up with a free multi-million-dollar system. Best case, you know, everybody stays healthy and the plane makes it to the runway and they continue to maintain it. But my point is the way I view this is there's no risk to the college. If in some crazy way, Forefront, the investors, everybody vanishes, we're out of pocket nothing here tonight. We have paid nothing to install it, but there it will be on our property generating power. If everyone disappears, we just basically inherited a free solar system. I mean, with the maintenance, but at least we didn't buy it and also get the maintenance. And so best case scenario, everything goes on and we have a flat rate, right? Are those the two parameters?
Yeah, you're very well protected, and that's again one of the great things about the PPA structure, is that really all of the risk, not all of the risk, nothing's risk free, but really all of the performance risk here, and risk in general is shifted to Forefront and really not on the district. You know, the risk, the really real risk here is that Edison's rates go down, right? That's yeah.
One can only hope.
There's a better chance I'll be president in January of 2020.
Mitsui is one of the largest in Japan and one of the largest corporate groups in the world.
Yes, I just Googled that. also.
Established
I was Googling.
founded 147 years ago.
There are 7 conglomerates in Japan. Mitsubishi's one of them, and Mitsui is one of them.
So they're big.
So I just want to continue a little bit for a minute, not to belabor this, but to bookend this. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I cannot even begin to fathom why this solar thing is so contested or why it draws so much attention and discussion from the board. I would prefer honestly to move forward with a vote tonight, take the vote and get this done and underway. I'm sure that Dr. Walden, we can vote on the addendum to the contract, which is very common in business to have addendums to contracts. And the addendum can be incorporated into the original contract, if I'm not mistaken. Nate, I see you saying yes.
Yes.
So once approved, this addendum would become a singular document with the original contract. Just to confirm, Kevin, it's really funny that you have a still picture, and every time I glance over you, I'm like,
Smile.
he's just still just sitting there with that same look on his face.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm a little tired and I shifted over and I'm like, why is that guy still got that same look on his face? What's so funny, Kevin? So we're out of pocket $0. We're locked in on a fixed rate for 20 years, 20 or 25, 20 years. And the other question is how quickly, once the system goes live, how quickly do we start to realize the savings?
You should, the college hypothetically should start realizing the savings in the first month that you're invoiced, because once everything has been energized, then your energy load, most of it is now going to be flowing through these solar projects at a rate that's lower than energy that you would have otherwise gone out and procured from SCE for a rate that's more expensive. So
Okay.
that could be realized in the first month.
But Nate,
That was
I
a
think
long answer to my question. So to shorten it and clarify it, the rate that we will be paying Forefront is right now today lower than the current SCE rate. We don't have to wait a year or 5 years until they raise the rates for your rate to become cheaper.
That's correct. That's reflected in the year 1 savings.
So immediately we recognize the savings the second that system goes live.
Nate, John, I am totally confused. Did you say we're going to be completed in construction next month? Or did you say when the parking lot? I'm confused.
No, we're gonna get the
Right.
savings the month that
Right,
it's
he was
energized.
like hypothetically, once it goes.
I
once it goes
understand where
live.
trustee Wood's going. I just want people to understand that. Are we talking about it's gonna be complete in October, or are we talking about sometime in 25?
No, he was saying that within 1 month of the system going
I
live.
totally understand. I mean.
Okay, all right.
Right, and he also said that because parking lot Q requires the parking lot to be shut down, they would maybe shimmy that to the back and put this unused area that doesn't affect student outcome in any way, shape, or form to the front of the,
I
they
think we
would
all
flip flop
understand.
them, right?
So
Okay,
trustee Woods, on Saturday, we had the solar guys over, ready to sign the contract, and I said, so talk about kilowatt rates for residential. And I was shocked when he told me what, what it costs to cook and what it costs to do this, because I don't see those bills. And when we got talking about this, he said, hey, that's a screaming deal. That's not what the issue is, okay? The issue is, we fought 2 years ago because we didn't know what our utility bills were out here. And John wrote a nice memo to Dr. Dan and said,
It wasn't
we don't.
utility bills they didn't know.
no, it was our
It
electric.
was solar savings is what you wanted.
Right.
Be
But-
very clear.
Trustee Tarpley, the college finally hired an energy consultant, which what I was arguing for. Because
Which
if you
is the
don't know
same
what you
person that
don't
you
know-
talked to on Friday,
What's that?
right? Marika is who you're talking about, the energy consultant? Is
Yeah.
that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
But the college hired her, I didn't hire her. What
I
I kept
understand that.
advocating for is if you don't know what it's costing you, how can you make an educated decision? And I think that tonight's, I think trustee Wood, I hate to answer questions. I'm not a rubber stamp guy. If it took 20 minutes more for the public to understand my concerns, then so be it. I'm happy where we're at.
I think we have our bookends, Nate or Kevin or John or Dan. Is there any other bookends that I'm missing? Regarding best case, worst case, cost out
There
of
might
pocket
be
right
another
now?
book. There's
Right.
incentives out there now for battery storage, and we've started a discussion with Forefront that could even realize more savings, but I'm not sure we even want to go there.
All right, well, that's
And-
not a conversation that we can have
No, it's
now,
not
right?
now, but
And that's the thing, the technology is always changing. And things are always getting better and more efficient.
I just think if you can control your costs, that's why we're here.
Right, and so my read on this is we have no dollars out of pocket today or ever, except for paying the bill. The second it goes live, we immediately start realizing a savings. We don't have to wait. They're on the hook for all the maintenance. We're off the hook for all the maintenance that we're spending now. So we're saving 88,000 off the top. Plus the power savings immediately are a benefit to us when the switch goes to on. Right? Worst case scenario, we inherit the system that we didn't pay for, but we get to use. Best case, it continues to be monitored by them. And to Joe's concern about the contract, Nate indicated that if we ratify tonight, that Dr. Walden and the company can incorporate the amendment by reference and make it into one complete document. We already have the first one. I'm ready to vote tonight and I'm a yes vote.
Every amendment I've ever signed, they don't go back and rewrite the original contract. They just say this is an amendment like this one is.
Right.
Number one, to Energy
Staple it, go
Services
back.
Agreement, Solar, Victor Valley College. This amendment is entered into, and it tells you what it's amended to. It's amended to our original contract. So this modifies, we just signed one of these
Like,
with
does it
Lucian.
before.
No, we just signed one with the Lucian. They didn't go back and rewrite the original contract. They just say this, what's in this amendment adds to or supersedes anything that's in, and it references where the changes are. So
Dr. Walden, let me be really clear. None of us have a problem approving the contract. I have a problem approving a contract that talks about another document. I don't have it in front of me. That's where I had the problem. The other contract was already signed, sealed, delivered. That's where my issue was. So I'm glad you do it that way. In real estate, we don't do it that way. We have, there might be exhibits and addendums, but there's usually one contract to look at so that if there's an issue, when it said here, section 5 is hereby deleted to be, I'm going, okay, where's section 5? Well, how can I in good conscience approve a document? If I don't have the original section 5.
So on
Well, it's actually
13.1,
there. It's
when it was
actually-
an amendment to the Aleutian SAS, did you read both? Did you ask for both?
No, I just read this one.
So it's just this one that you want to be,
No, this
Have access.
particular one was what I was interested in.
okay,
Well, to be clear, the contract, the original contract and the amendment are all in the agenda. They're all there together. I just lost my.
should we just take a vote and see where the chips fall? I mean,
I don't
I'm
think
good,
we're
I'm
gonna-
good.
Just take a
discussing.
vote on it.
The motion's on the floor, I'm good, I'm
Right.
good.
And
I'm-
it's-
Student
I
advisory
made the
vote
motion.
is yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I
really,
know,
it's like,
that's what I'm saying.
it's a no-brainer, really.
And the student advisory vote is yes. So,
Well, I voted yes. It's not a big deal, because I want to be sure we had it on the record.
Yeah, I'm down. I don't know what happened.
You're
Are you
down by
ready, your
law.
area?
are you down with this? one?
I just lost my.
Are you gonna get up, get down? Art must be tired, man. I figured to get up, get down would have got him.
He's saving it
Okay.
for the disco Christmas party.
He's gonna jump around. Jump around.
Ages.
Longer than we've.
There
been
we
here.
go. Thank you from the back of the room. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Nate, Kevin,
What was the outcome?
5-0.
5-0.
5-0 for no.
Nate
Thank
does,
you, trustees.
Thank you, everyone.
neither does Kevin.
It's all, hey, you guys.
Good night.
Night.
Sorry,
Night.
Nate, this was so tough.
You did your diligence,
That's what I do.
Ask
of course. Thank you very much.
We're like Walter Cronkite.
Thank you.
But you gotta be Barbara Walters, Joe. I picked Walter Cronkite.
Okay, so you're down. to-
13.5.
Yes, the budget,
Are you
final
up?
budget.
13.5, public
Second.
hearing and adoption of,
Motion,
No,
maybe.
no motion is second yet.
what?
Open a public hearing
Yeah.
for the budget.
Public hearing and adoption of 23-24 final budget. Okay, I'm gonna open it for
Comment?
public hearing.
Yep.
Anybody?
Nobody.
Nobody? Close it. Okay, let's.
Now motion second.
Do you want to take the ones you
Motion in a second.
would? Just a second.
Need a second?
Yeah.
We had it.
Second,
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
John, while they're voting on this, can you just explain this whole next group of just why we're doing this fund renaming? What's going on with this? With all these different funds?
So some of our fund structure is not compliant with the budget and accounting manual as published by the California State Chancellor's Office. So
I can and I would.
we're renaming funds and creating new funds. So that's pretty much what we're doing in all these funds. We're creating a new bookstore fund. The bookstore has been operated outside of our regular books. We're bringing it in. It's coming to fiscal services. Same way with ASB. It's been off, kind of off the books. It's been audited, but it's not running through the county office. So we've got a ASB fund that we're creating. We just created the cafeteria fund, which is what the Rams Cafe operates in. And then we're just trying to come into compliance with the budget and accounting manual.
That's what all those are. I don't know if you want
I would
to do them.
suggest we
like
do them all
one-
together.
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah, second,
So
Yeah, let's do them all together.
motion to combine 13.6, 13.7, 13.8, 13.9, 13.10, 13.11, and 13.12.
Yeah.
Correct.
There we go. All right,
second,
second,
second, yeah, I seconded.
Wood second.
Student advisories, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna open on voting for this first one, and then I'll make all the others.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all of them.
Yeah, we're putting them
Yes.
all together.
It's a secret. Can't tell you.
Is your name Victoria?
We have time for,
Okay,
not a break, but a quick run to the.
Technology break?
Right. So I don't have. to
What do you gotta
be
do?
longer. Quick run.
run.
Man, about a horse.
While she fixes all this in
Yeah.
the Word document.
I like Sunny in the back to stand up so we can all applaud the great job you did. You know, I think the LA Rams and the Chargers and the Dodgers and the Lakers should hire you
Oh,
to
yes.
do that
And I'll
at every
negotiate
single
it.
game. That was like one of the best renditions I've ever seen.
Absolutely. It was
It was
I'm not smart enough to know how to
gorgeous.
post that, so I'm gonna ask Robert, if you could send that to me. And I'll have one of our great people post that on Facebook. That was really cool.
It was beautiful.
I will
Huh?
tell you that, out there in the crisp morning. Everybody was just so quiet while she sang, and it just went across that lake. It felt like the whole world was singing this song or could hear it. And she was singing it with such passion and belief. It was, you had to be there. You think it was good on video tonight, I'm telling you. I had to get up ungodly hour in the morning, but I was there, and I'm so glad I was there for that. Thank you, Sonny.
Okay, so we're done.
No, she'll tell us when she's ready.
I was gonna ask Sonny, are you looking for a record contract? I got friends in Hollywood that, yeah.
Y'all want to know the funny
They
part
don't
of
do
this story?
records anymore.
The funny part of this story is, they were talking last week and she said, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell this, but anyway, they said, well, Sonny said she would sing the anthem. So somebody said, well, can she sing? They said, well, I don't know. So then a couple of other people were saying, well, we should go at least find out if she can sing.
Oh,
So they went and had her try out or something. I wasn't there for that. But they said, okay, she can sing. So I can't believe anybody even questioned it.
right.
They should have been able to tell by looking.
How could they not after the karaoke party in Big Bear? That's the new audition for next year.
13.
You ready?
Are you ready or no?
No.
Her.
The only one that matters.
13. 23-24. Recalibration, recalculation of annual GAN apportionment limits.
Motion.
Second,
So just to point out, this was the corrected, this is the one we're correcting, so it's not this dollar amount. It's the one that I stated earlier when we took the correction. 100,676,700.
that was fast, Dan. Slow down for her.
729.
Student advisory.
Yes.
There it is.
For some of us.
Okay. 14-1, non-classified short-term employees. Motion.
Second.
All in favor, any,
Yes.
Students.
student,
Yes.
I know, just a minute. Okay. (14.2) new management job classification and salary placement for student success materials manager.
Motion.
Second, go ahead. It was Brady and Pinkerton. You're welcome.
Okay. Any discussion? Student trustee?
Yes.
Fourteen point three. CSEA collective bargaining agreement.
Motion,
No, it's
sorry, no,
14.3 is new classified salary schedule.
Yeah, new CSEA collective bargaining agreement,
agreement, closing reopening.
closing reopening. Okay.
Motion.
Second,
Student trustee?
yes. Did we do the student advisor? Did she not? Okay. Maybe we could do it verbally.
Fourteen point four. New classified salary schedule and job description.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Student trustee?
Yes.
Yay.
This is the one you said to vote no on, right?
Here.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it was a little more fun.
14.5. Classified
Spiky, you know?
employees, classification and
It's only one,
compensation
only
salary
one person.
reclassification
Motion.
and placements. Any discussion? Student trustee?
Yes.
Fifteen point one, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
It won't, it's.
The grant received.
Here come those retro checks. October 1st.
Just give it directly to him.
Okay, do I have a
He's the
motion?
only one that said that.
You gotta worry when they say the check's in the mail. I'll just come pick it up.
Motion,
Motion.
second?
Second.
Any discussion? Student trustee?
Yes.
First read board policy 17.1. First
I can make
read,
a suggestion and we put them all together.
yeah.
Well, there's
We
no
don't
vote
This
here.
is,
Yeah, we
this
don't
is
vote.
just
This is just
the
if
first
you want to
read.
discuss them.
So Michelle
This is just for reading.
Thank you so much.
Michelle emailed these out also.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you so much. Michelle emailed these out, I think maybe about last Wednesday. Ish, so we did all receive them via email, and I would just indicate for the record that I did read them all about a day after you emailed them out. Thank you for emailing them ahead of
for
time.
the record.
So
For the
first
record.
read.
There'll be a
Well,
test on that next
It's a
month.
first read, so you're
Yeah, we don't
supposed to
vote.
kind of read them.
Yeah.
Ready for adjournment?
Motion to
Adjournment.
adjourn.
The end.
The end.
Second.
8:23, guys.
Yeah, that's pretty good.